You find me here, you dry my eyes, shed a tear. You turn me back, you turn me through, flip into hope and learn to fear. Tell me that it's true. If we do something, believe in something, I don't think I should. If it ain't nothing, if it ain't nothing, ooh. My heart is free, my heart is free. No place where I would rather be. You find me here, you find me here. You dry my eyes, shed a tear. Tell me that it's true. If we do something, believe in something, I don't think I should. If it ain't nothing, if it ain't nothing, ooh.
The movie that was presented is a film of Steve Katz that talks about and explore about the destruction of environment, climate change, extinction of species from different perspective. And we all know that it could be the face of the new generation if we would still continue doing such a thing, like burning plastics and cutting trees and many more. For today's video, the team will talk about the climate change. The graph shown is the level of temperature of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere over hundreds of thousands years. At 1950, we started breaking records of carbon dioxide and we haven't stopped since. Well, actually, scientists say there is 90% chances that human activity is the cause, because we've been burning fossil fuels and fuel to power our homes, factories, cars, airplanes, which release carbon dioxide. So before we continue to the deep definition, let's differentiate what is weather and what is climate, because these two aren't the same. So weather refers to the condition like rain, temperature, and wind over hours to days. I look at your window right now. What would be the weather? It may be a sunny, rainy, or whatsoever, right? So that's weather. Well, climate is the average weather conditions over a long period of time. Let's think about a month. Your birth month, what could be the climate? Usually, at my birth month, it's June. It's usually a sunny day, dry, right? So that's a climate. So what is climate change? Well, climate change is a statistically significant change in the state of climate, which is the average weather that precise for an extended period of time, like decades or longer. I tried to ask my mom what usually is the climate during the month of June, and he says it's actually a sunny day. Explains what is climate change. So they are actually causes of climate change. So first is the greenhouse effect, that sunlight passes through the atmosphere of the earth, and the earth's surface reflected back to the atmosphere to space na dayon. So mo reflect ra na siya, mao na ang greenhouse effect. However, after it is reflected, greenhouse gases can trap heat in the atmosphere. So ang greenhouse gases mao na mag-release og heat na nagikan sa atmosphere, and dagwa siya og heat sa sun. And greenhouse gases actually occur naturally. Without them, the earth could be very, very cold, about minus 18 degrees Celsius, and all water on the earth could freeze. The ocean would turn to ice, and life we know doesn't exist. So next is the human activity. Over the last 100 years, since the Industrial Revolution, greenhouse gases has rapidly increased in the atmosphere. This is due to the human activities which release greenhouse gases. Electricity from coal or diesel generators and industrial or pollution from factories contribute the most. So next is the global warming. Too much or more greenhouse gases trap more heat in the atmosphere, leading to global warming. So kung daghan daw kayo gases, mo ni magkosa daghan kang gases, mo ni magkosa global warming. Since 1880, global temperature has increased by almost 1 degree Celsius. 1 degree Celsius or 2 degrees Celsius sounds so small, but come to think of it, if our body temperature has increased into 1 to 2 degrees Celsius, what would we feel? We maybe immediately feel sick or have a fever, right? So humans have added so much greenhouse gas to the atmosphere that even if all emissions stop today, the planet would still continue to warm from decades to come. So, mapadayon na gyapon siya. So, dapat hinahinit ang mo-stop sa what. Next is the global warming and the water cycle. Global warming intensifies the water cycle. Higher temperature increase evaporation of water from sea, lakes, and river. So, muna na siya ang evaporation. Kato mo evaporate ang tubig mo taas, then dito na sila mag-evaporate sa taas, which is cause na makusog ang ulan, and to mo kuan din siya flooding, mo na siya magbaha, mo na siyang, and right. Air holds more water vapor, resulting to more intense rainstorm. This can lead to flooding. That's what was I'm saying. And of course, the theme were further explain about these causes.
Today, our nature is very sensitive due to abuse which is not good to our environment. Our planet is like our home that we need to protect and to care of. If we are getting needs to our environment, then we must have to protect and repair if there is a damage. Humans are increasingly influence the climate and Earth's temperature by burning fossil fuels, cutting down rainforests, and farming livestock. This adds enormous amounts of greenhouse gases to those naturally occurring in the atmosphere, increasing greenhouse effects and global warming.
We are going to tackle about the 4 natural causes of climate change. So first is we have the volcanic eruption. Second is we have the orbital changes. Third is the carbon dioxide theory. And the last one is the human activities. So first is we're going to tackle about the volcanic eruption and how does it affect the climate change. So volcanic eruption can affect climate change by blocking out solar radiation and absorbing infrared radiation emitted by the Earth. It took over 2 years for the Earth and sulfate particles to disappear from stratosphere completely. This resulted in less solar radiation and reaching the Earth's surface, which caused a small drop in the Earth's temperature. Then, its effect was, it is when sulfur is turned into sulfates that has the ability to reflect sun rays and light then cools the Earth. What it will do otherwise from the stratosphere. So, naadi-ari nakasulat is, reflects sun rays and light and cools down the Earth. So, when we say reflect man God, kay kanang, kung sa amin pa, kumbaga makita ra nato bitaw, balik ra kung say makita nimo. So, it will turn out na, if kung kani ang sun, nag-produce ni siya mga sun rays o kahayag into the Earth, is dili siya ma-absorb or makasulod diretso diadto sa Earth. It because sa mga gipang release na mga gases gikan sa volcanic eruption. So, second effect is, if kung magpadayon na ni siya na cycle or kanang mudaghan ng mga gases or mga overload ng bitaw dadto because too much is not good man jud. So if it happens, there is a possibility na mag-freeze ang ato ang Earth because dili na makasulod ang sun rays or kahayag na gikan sa sun. So, dako yun siyang epekto sa climate change nato. So next is we have the orbital changes. So the Earth has natural warming and cooling periods caused by Milankovitch cycle. And as I go on my discussion, I am going to explain what is Milankovitch cycle. So later on na siya. And or variations in the tilt and lobobet of the Earth around the sun. If there is high amount emitted, there will be an increase in Earth's temperature. So now we are going to discuss Milankovitch cycle and unsa man gyud poy part niya sa orbital changes ug ang pag-change sa atong climate. So, Milankovitch cycle is from the name of Mr. Milutin Milankovitch. Mr. Milankovitch proposes that the changes in the intensity of solar radiation received on the Earth were affected by the fundamental factors, and it is the precision, obliquity, and eccentricity. The factor was being known as the Milankovitch cycle. So, mauna dayon na siya ang tulo ka factors. And now I am going to discuss the 3 factors. So, we have first, the eccentricity. So, I have here an example para demonstrate na ko. So, it means that the Earth's orbit around the Sun is a pretty net circle lang yun. So, if we going to put na mauni siya ang atuang Sun, o mauni siya ang atuang, mauni ang Sun, then mauni ato ang Earth. So, ang atong pagtuyos, matuyok na siya, perfectly circle lang yun. Pabalik-balik lang. Pero, in fact, over 100,000 years, the Earth's orbit changes from being almost perfectly radial circle into elliptical or oval shape. Ito, paana na dayon. Oval, bitaw na pagka-tuyok. Nga na. So, every 100,000 years, kimag-usab na siya na cycle. And now it's thought that it has the same, some major effects of Earth's seasons from being hot and cold periods in Earth's history na dayon. So, next is we have the obliquity. So, Earth rotate every 24 hours like kung ato ang normal na day and night. Kung magabi o buntag. So, the Earth is 23 23.5 degree angle ang iyahang pag-ana bitaw. Ang iyahang, kung ingani, gyud diri ang taas, pag maana siya. Actually, it changes over time of 41,000 years. It changes from being all the way down to 21.5 degree all the way up to 24.5 degree. So, may dili na kay siya makaproduce of changes, pero the planet as large as Earth, kung pareha lang kadakon sa Earth, it could have an impact on which part of the planet get the most heat from the sun at different times of the year, and that will have impacts on the planet overall climate and temperature. So, example. So, mao ni ang atong sun o kaniyang atong Earth. Kung ani man ni, so yung patuyok is paana. Yang ani siya, pero gatuyok siya na. Over time is mag-change siya. So, katong naa sa ilalom, mao na po'y mas maduol dapit sa sun. So, matuyok-tuyok ra. Mao na siya, na-adjud ako na i-changes. Laban na kung pareha kadaka sa Earth yun. Kaya maklaro yun nato, so mao yun na siya ang usapod sa rason sa ato ang climate change. Ang pinakauna, recall, ang pinakauna is mag-changes ang cycle na pagtuyok sa Earth. Number 2 is ang pag-tilt niya into the sun ug iyahang pagtuyok pod and can change seasons. So next is we have the precision. So okay, naana po ko example diari. So it says na diari ang Earth daw is mahubol. So imagine this is the Earth and we think na mag-rotate siya ani lang. Like, normal lang gud na pagtuyok yun. And it rotates every 24 hours. Actually, gud ang tinuod, the Earth is likely rotating different way. Like, it wobbles yun. So, muna siya, mana. While nagtuyok siya na, example, gatuyok siya na, ay paana na nahitabo. Tuyok, ana. So, kung tanaw na to, easy na kaya siya tanawon. Pero, nakoy trivia, it took over 26 years to complete ang iyahang pagtuyok. Kida ko biya kaayo tong Earth, no? So, mauna siya ang nasa precision. Then, if we are going to conclude ang tulo ka buok atuang emerge kanang Milankovitch cycles, so for sure na agi siya dakong changes na mahitabo sa ato ang climate. So, basically, the Milankovitch cycles, like under the orbital changes, has the ability to change the climate in our Earth. So next is we have the carbon dioxide and how does it affect the climate change. So carbon dioxide is like a natural blanket that keeps the Earth warm. It makes the Earth habitable. Characteristically, the Earth has an atmosphere that allows reflections of heat from the sun back to much of it makes the Earth more hotter than the normal since it traps more and more heat under the blanket. That causes the Earth to be warmer, thus the term global warming. And when sunlight hits the Earth's surface, the surface gets warm. Normally, the heat radiates into the space, but carbon dioxide absorbs heat. More carbon dioxide traps more heat. That extra heat turns up the volume on the weather. So, the carbon dioxide balance is not being maintained. So, kung daghang carbon dioxide, the more nga iyahang i-trap ang mga kainit noon. So, basically, na-agreed changes of weather na dayon or climate sa atua. So, basically, the carbon dioxide theory has reason also about our climate change here on Earth.
Human activities contribute a big impact in our climate change because as the pre-industrial era, so the people might build a lot of infrastructures, buildings, the factories, and so on, so that all people that belongs here on the Earth can benefit on it. So in that case, we contribute a big impact in our ozone layer. So according to the National Environmental Education Foundation, 97% of climate scientists agree that people are the one, or humans are the one who cause the global warming here on the Earth. So that causes because of what we are doing for us to live in, because as the population continually grows, so the needs of everyone must be given. So for that, the experts build a lot of industrial factories for us to benefit on it, so that they can provide what we need in order for us to live. So we have these 4 principles of greenhouse gases that contributes a big impact in our climate change. But before that, we must first observe the table shown at the PowerPoint, that it shows that in 1,900 years to 2000, the human activities and the natural influences in our climate change has this big difference. So as you see that blue color rises than the green color, that the blue color it's the human activities, and the green colors which shows the natural influences to climate change. So human activities gives more negative impacts in our climate change, as you see. So with that, we have these 4 principles of greenhouse gases that produces by humans. So first is carbon dioxide. So because of the pre-industrial evolution, so the carbon dioxide, we produce carbon dioxide highly. So because of that, for example, the transportation that we use so that we can reach our destination in a short period of time, and also the factories that humans has this negative contribution to our environment. Yes, indeed, we have this technological advancement nowadays, but the problem is the negative effects on it to our atmosphere. Because through the inventions that people did, there's always a negative effects on it. So according to Maurice Ward, she gave this chart that shows the different persons that gives these carbon dioxide to our atmosphere. In addition, the experts like engineer, the scientists need to build these kinds of infrastructures for to live and to serve the people, because they are the one who are trusted by all. So they must give their best to give the needs of the people, even if the effects on it is negative. Oh, the second one is the methane, the hydrocarbon gas, the colorless and the odorless gas. So according to the EPA, it indicates that human has the 60% of methane emissions in our climate change. This comes again from Maurice Ward that shows in the chart that the third principle of greenhouse gases is the nitrous oxide. So we usually observe this in agriculture. So the farmers use these chemicals. These farmers use these chemicals to have this amount of foods. So they use this as for us to have this kind of needs in our life for us to survive. So as shown in the chart, agriculture has this big percent in nitrous oxide which is affects in our climate change. The last one is the halocarbons. Halocarbons contains the fluorine, chlorine, and the bromine. Destruction of the stratospheric ozone. Fluorinated gas is described as the high global warming potential gases. So in the chart, it shows that 90% of substitution of ozone depleting substances, and which is the biggest one, the substitution of ozone depleting substances.
Climate change is a worldwide issue that is caused by natural and man-made activities. It highly affects our environment, especially the world we live in positive and absolutely negative. First, we'll be talking about the negative effects of climate change. First is the global warming. The rising sea levels due to melting of ice and thermal expansion. Changing patterns of rainfall causing desertification in some areas and increased flooding in others. More frequent extreme weather events including heat waves, droughts, and heavy rainfall. Storms would also increase strength and frequency. Extinction of certain species due to shifting temperature regimes. Spreading of diseases such as malaria and other illnesses and viruses. Changing patterns of agriculture and crop yields. Desertification or coastal flooding leading to human mitigation, which could become a source of political and even military conflict. The positive effects of climate change are the warmer temperature and increased carbon dioxide levels, leading to more vigorous plant growth. More resources such as oil becoming available in Alaska and Siberia when the ice melts. Energy consumption decreasing due to a warmer climate with the use of solar energy and other sources. Longer growing season to higher yielding in current farming areas. Frozen regions such as Canada and Siberia could able to grow crops. Next is new tourist destinations becoming more available due to the change of climate.
Summary: climate change is a worldwide issue that we have faced. Climate change is referred as statistically significant climate variation persisting for an extended period of time. The continuous climate change has a drastic effects on living and non-living forms on Earth. Climate change could brought several factors like natural process and persisting human activities. Global warming is one of the major effects of climate change. Global warming threatens all life on Earth. It has drastic effects on water availability, food, health issues, land use, ecosystem, and also to the soils. Conclusion: Earth climate has changed over the past years. The atmosphere and the ocean have warmed, sea levels have risen, and the glaciers and the ice sheet decreased from their regular sizes. The best available evidence indicates that the greenhouse gas release from human activities is the biggest cause of climate change. The group point of view is, as a human, we have the biggest responsibility to take care of our nature and all of the sources of it. And as a human, we should all do the good deeds so that the other people will follow. Because we are all yelling for a change, so we should do some actions and be the change for the future of the next generation. Thank you.
Together, let's make a change.